Hey there, YouTube! Welcome back to my solo playthrough of Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. That's a Dungeons & Dragons adventure, a 5e module. It's been over a month since I've played, and I wanted to address that and also give you guys a couple of updates. So here I'm playing solo with Mythic Game Master Emulator by Tana Pigeon, 2nd edition, and I'm also using DM Yourself by Tom Scott. When I play like this and setting up in my house with actual physical components, there's a lot of things that kind of have to line up. I have to have a day where I can be guaranteed that it's going to be pretty quiet because I have too much difficulty if there's other people around or talking or any kind of noise going on. So it's kind of like a really thin, magical place and time where everything co-aligns and I can play like this. I also got to come clean because recently I've been really delving into my Planescape Adventure Turn of Fortune's Wheel solo as well. And in that one, I'm playing completely on the computer or on my Android using Obsidian, the Markdown note taker, as kind of like my place to play inside. And that is a lot more simple than setting up here on the table. So it's just like something I can easily pick up and put down. And it's really been fun as well. Also in the background over here, you can see that I have Root the Core Adventure books, and I've also been reading that because I'm also interested in doing a solo playthrough of that. And I also have a current solo playthrough that I've kind of semi-abandoned, but I'm still working on for Iron Valley. So long story short, I'm just really all over the place, and I haven't really been focused on this one. Jonathan Rector recently commented, "This was great. Thanks for posting. Any chances of making more videos?" And thank you for asking, Jonathan, because you reminded me that, yeah, I haven't done this in a while, and I do want to put out more content because I think it's valuable to have playthroughs available on YouTube because I like watching those as well. So thank you, Jonathan. And if you're interested, drop me comments and tell me what you want to see. If you want to see any of my other playthroughs, I can try to show you guys that as well. All right, let's go right into the recap of what's happened in our adventure. So here are my two characters, Rolo Swiftfoot and Quippy, the sidekick. In the starter set for Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, they provide character sheets for some basic characters that I decided not to use, and my characters have their own background. So Rolo and Quippy are basically trying to build some trust with Runara, who's in charge of Dragon's Rest, and some of the other people that live there, so Rolo can get the item that he's looking for. He's actually here on a mission from a mysterious patron who wants him to steal some specific mysterious object from Runara. Rolo's the only person that knows what that is. Even I, as the DM right now, don't know. I'm planning to kind of like discover that as I play. You're probably going to see me do things a little bit differently than the last month from when I last played, because from my other playthrough with the Planescape Adventure, I've learned a lot of different things. I've also purchased the hard copy of this book for Mythic, and I'm really excited for that to arrive, and I can't wait to show you guys when I get that. But here's I printed out my little cheat sheet. I also have my adventures list, and I'm also using the adventure features list, which is another option that's available in Mythic Game Master Emulator 2E. And just so everyone knows that with DM Yourself and Mythic, I'm kind of like taking what works for me, and I don't really have any set rules. For this playthrough specifically, DM Yourself recommends you don't allow critical hits against your characters, and I'm doing that in my Planescape playthrough. But in this one, I've decided that I'm taking those licks. So that's one kind of like higher problem I have in this setting, which I haven't incorporated in the Planescape setting because I don't like dying that much. Rolo is here under his own pretense of getting a little bit of like faith, a little bit of trust in Runara and some of the other leadership at Dragon's Rest because he's looking to steal something for them. Quippy is here because Rolo saved her life in another adventure and she feels indebted to him. It's already been kind of paid back in the adventures that they've been on since then, but that's what she keeps saying, is that she owes him something, and that's why she keeps following along, even though she seems to just honestly enjoy the adventures and be with him. So that's how she's here, he's stealing. In the last session, they had just gone through the caves where there was some kind of blight that they don't know exactly what's going on yet, but there was a blight that was taking over the myconids. There was a couple of battles that they ended up going, it went well for my characters. I was wrong at the end of last session where I said I only had 6 mushroom caps, but I actually had gotten 10 throughout that adventure, and I also have a ruby morel, so that means when I get back to Dragon's Rest, my characters are hoping to construct some potions. I decided to lean a little bit more into using Mythic and also trying to incorporate the actual adventure of Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. And I'm deciding that instead of just hand-waving some things, I'm going to roll for them, like, does anything happen on the way back, and etc. Overall, they gain the myconids' trust, they gained some resources and information, and they're heading back to Dragon's Rest now after a long rest. It is, I've decided, about 8 a.m. in the morning because they had spent the night in the caves and also spoken to Sinetsa, the myconid leader, and gotten some gifts from him. So we're going to go ahead and test the expected scene using Mythics to test the expected scene. And that is rolling on a d10 against the chaos factor. I have not been tracking chaos factor during this playthrough, but it is something that I have started doing in my other playthrough, and I've decided that I do want to use it after all, so here we go. It's right now just going to start off at 5, and I'll start tracking it accordingly. So, oh god, what is that? Ooh, it's so far away. Alright, so what is that, a 10? Yeah, that's a 10. All right, so I got a 10. That's over the chaos factor. So what does that mean is that the expected scene occurs. I was saying that my characters are now traveling from the caves back to Dragon's Rest, and that's it. Nothing happened. All right, here's how I'm basically taking notes. I left the scraps because originally Tarak had given me scraps to give to the myconids that I just never role-played out, and I decided I don't want to keep them, so I'm leaving the food scraps with them. I'm coming back with 10 caps, 1 red morel, and the broken crystal knowledge. I wrote that down because it's important that I tell something about that. And as the DM and player and everybody, I gotta make sure I do good note keeping. So since nothing happened, and per the adventure takes about, I think, 2.5 hours to go home, I'm saying we're getting back to Dragon's Rest at 10:30 in the morning. So now next question I'm going to ask Mythic. My chaos factor is now 4 because it's dropped down because everything went as expected last time. So my chaos factor is 4, and we want to go visit Tarak to show him, 1, all the stuff that we got, and 2, get him to make those potions. So we're gonna go see if we can go find Tarak immediately wherever he stays at. So, chaos factor 4, I rolled another 10. So yes, that's boring, but Tarak is exactly where we expect him to be, so I'm gonna go ahead and set that scene up. So I did a couple more off-camera rolls specifically to find out where Tarak was, and I started with like his cell, and then the library, the kitchen, and eventually I found him on the beach, which is actually where we would come up before interacting with anybody else. So that does make a difference. And I'm glad I rolled for it. We're gonna go ahead and draw that out. Shivyenda and Rolo come up on the beach, and they spy Tarak messing around with some seaweed, and they go right up to him. And they're like, oh my goodness, hey Tarak, you won't believe what happened. And he's gonna be like, oh hey, you guys were gone so long, we were worried about you. And they're basically, I don't know why he has that voice, but they're gonna have a discussion. They're gonna tell Tarak everything that they saw in the caves. When they started helping, the myconids were so like thrilled to have somebody there that they took them directly to what they thought was the problem. And they destroyed this crystal that seemed to like explode into light, and it made the cavern very, like, brilliantly bright. The myconids couldn't go in there, and how it all seemed to be coming from below somewhere, because they don't know what I, as the DM, now know. Tarak is going to start giving my characters basically some background now, because they didn't know this before, but he who lives here does. According to legend, 2 families of dragons came into being in the very first day of the world's creation. Bahamut, the noble platinum dragon, made the metallic dragons: gold, silver, bronze, brass, and copper. Cruel 5-headed Tiamat made the chromatic dragons: red, blue, green, and black and white. Tarak goes on to explain that ages ago, a fire-breathing red dragon called Sharuth rampaged up and down the Sword Coast. He says in all likelihood, Sharuth is long dead and entombed beneath the island, and he goes on to speak about this ageless conflict that was between chromatic and metallic dragons. He goes on to explain that Stormwreck Isle was formed from magic-fueled volcanic activity in the tomb of the monstrous red dragon named Sharuth. Some legends and rumors suggest that Sharuth is not actually dead, merely imprisoned beneath the island, and the activity in the Seagrow Cave suggests that all is not well beneath Stormwreck Isle. He doesn't know more, but he wonders if maybe we should go talk to Runara and see if there's anything to be done about this, because it seems like something is underneath the island and it's coming up and affecting the myconids. Tarak thanks you so much for the information, especially since it seems cleared out now and he can go back to the caves. I've decided, I looked it up, and apparently it takes a couple of days to make potions. So I'm going to go ahead and just say after one more long rest, I'll have the one potion that he's going to make from the Ruby Morel, and that he already has a supply of potions made that since I can give him the caps, he's willing to trade with me. So I'm going to take a D6 and I'm going to +4 to it because I brought home 10 caps. So we're just going to go D6, 3 plus 4. He's giving me 7 healing potions right now. And then here, after a long rest, I'm going to get an elixir of healing, I believe. I also came home with some loot. I came back with, there was some broken crystals that I collected that I maybe can trade with somebody else, but it's worth some money. Using the DM yourself rules, I'm scanning the paragraph for Tarak right here, and I see, and this is going to be a spoiler for you guys probably, but I see here that I see DC 15 intelligence for something. I'm trying just to glance. So both of my characters are +2 on intelligence, so I'm going to go ahead and roll that because they're talking to him in depth now. This is the second time that we've really had a conversation with them. So I'm going to see if they notice whatever he's tattooed with. So we're going to check. 3 and 9. No, we don't notice shit. All right, so I'm going to skip that. Now, see, if I wanted it to be interesting, I could just hand wave it and get it, but maybe that's information that I'll get in a different way from talking to somebody else at this point. And that's kind of how I'm balancing it. It's like, I could just read it, but I'm trying not to spoil myself. There is a certain level of spoiling that I can't help while I'm doing this, and this is why I'm trying to do it specifically by DM yourself. So my scene is ending. I'm not doing like a big in-depth thing. I literally wrote Chaos Factor 3. It's gone down again. So we're going to go ahead and see. All right, so my Chaos Factor is 3, and the next expected scene is that we're going to go find Runara and talk to her. After that, I think Rolo and Quippy are going to like get back together and pass a little time trying to plan like what Rolo's trying to do here, which is steal. So we're going to go ahead and see, can we find Runara? We got a 4. The chaos factor is 3. So yes, we're going to go find Runara. I did this off camera last time to see where is Tarak, but I'm going to go ahead and do it on camera this time. The first time I did this for Tarak, I literally just rolled a D10 and I said 1 to 5, yes, 6 to 10, no. But I forgot that if I roll on the Mythic table, I'll actually get into positions where I could get a double roll. That's what you want to do. I need to ask fate questions. That's what's important. So I tested the expected scene and I got yes. The next expected scene is going to happen, which is we go find Runara. So I'm going to roll on the fate chart. Is Runara up the stairs inside the plaza? I'm going to say that's very unlikely for this early in the morning. She's probably either eating or in her private chambers. So very unlikely that she's down here. Our chaos factor is 3. So I'm going to be rolling here. Ooh, my light just dropped. Here, let me zoom out a little bit. So I'm going to be rolling on this right here. Chaos factor is 3. I'm going to be rolling very unlikely. So I need basically a 10 or under for her to be in the plaza. Go ahead and do that and get our D10. Is Runara in the plaza? Very unlikely. All right, I got a 40. So no, she is not in the plaza. Is she in the winch house? I'm also going to say very unlikely. Same thing. 61, she is not in the winch house. Is she in the kitchen? Okay, at this point, I'm going to say it's very likely that she is in the kitchen. So that is a 50 is yes. And above 50 is no. All right, 22, very likely. Yes, she is in the kitchen. Is anybody else in here in the kitchen with us? I would say also very likely. So we're gonna go ahead and do that again. I got a 30. I'm gonna go ahead and roll a D4 to see who else is in here because the kitchen's not super big. So how many more people are in here? 2 other people besides Runara, and I guess we will see who it is by rolling on our little character list. So here is our Mythic character list right here. And I'm going to roll on this twice. So basically I'm going to roll a D10 and then that way I'm going to see who is in here as well. And if I land on one of the kobolds, I'm just going to pick them because I haven't fleshed out any of the kobolds yet, so I haven't felt the need to list them all out. Okay. Who's in here with Runara? 4. A kobold, makes sense. And another kobold. All right, so we're just going to put 2 kobolds in there with her. Rolo and Quippy find Runara in the kitchen with 2 kobolds. So they're going to boop, 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 boop. Oh, hey, Runara. Doo, 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 doo. All right, Runara's going to be incredibly happy to see them. She already has a really good impression of them from the zombie situation before. And she's going to be like, welcome back. I'm so glad to see you're safe. What can you tell me of your adventure? And the characters are going to go through and tell them exactly what they told the other guy and be like, hey, seems like there's some kind of like crystallization happening within the cage that was taking over the myconids. Oh, we destroyed what was there. They seemed to get better. They were very grateful. Tarak can start going back again to the caves. And then they're going to... And while they're having this conversation, this kobold in the back here comes around and just jumps in and tells them how they saw, his name is Rix, that him and Varnoth both saw a recent wreck that basically... There have been several ships recently that crashed on the rocks north of Dragon's Rest and sunk with no survivors. A few days ago, both Varnoth and the kobold Rix witnessed the most recent wreck. He explains that they saw the ship abruptly veer off course and crash into the rocks. And he suggests that the characters might be able to help the island by discovering what caused the crash. Because they've been so helpful so far, and Rix can't help but wonder if there's something underground that's causing these crashes, just like what's happening underground with the myconids. Since Runara is right there, she mentions that there is an older wreck known as the Compass Rose that is still accessible, that maybe has some answers on it if the characters choose to investigate. And she tells them that she would be indebted forever if they come to some kind of conclusion that she has been unable to leave to go visit these places herself. For whatever reason. Not really sure why. Maybe we'll find out later. You know what? I'm going to say that Quippy, because she's Quippy, she's going to ask Runara why doesn't she do something. And I think it's going to have to be a perception check. I'm going to say that's a very hard perception check. So she's going to have to roll like a 18 or better. So why don't you do it? She got a nat 1. Runara actually drops her facade of friendliness and gives an icy cold glare to Quippy and says, I'm busy running a keep. And Quippy loses the blood in her face. She feels unwell. That was such a direct thing, and she actually gets quiet for the first time in a while because she's usually yapping. She was already starting to yap with the kobold. This kobold also catches part of that and goes back. He says, I'm out. She also, I didn't get a chance, but I did want to ask Runara about Tarak's tattoos, but her entire demeanor has changed now, and she seems unhappy. In fact, I'm going to say, does she leave right now? I'm going to say probably, very likely. Very likely, our chaos factor is still 3, we're going to go ahead and say. Does she dip out on us? 65. Very likely. No, she doesn't. Okay, she stays in the room. All right. So at this point, Rolo and Quippy are going to just excuse themselves as the temperature in the room has definitely changed. And I can't do what I wanted to do. So they're just going to step out here. And we're going to pretend that they're gone down the path a little bit because they're trying not to be heard. There's a wall here, guys. There's a wall. This is a wall, okay? Just pretend. Now she's back to talking to this guy. All right, so now Rolo and Quippy are outside. They kind of look around. They're like talking to each other because Rolo is like, damn, we just pissed her off. I don't know why that question pissed her off so much, but it really did. And Quippy's like, I'm sorry, I just thought it was a legitimate question. Why wouldn't you go do it if you're worried about what's happening? And Rolo's like, I mean, that would make sense. You're right, but who knows? Leadership. Have you noticed that there doesn't seem to be any place that she actually stays in? And Quippy's like, you're right. She doesn't have her room, as far as we can tell. We lost control in that scene, so the chaos factor is going to go back up. So now the chaos factor is back to 4. We have a new lead, but Rolo is now realizing that this job might be harder than he thought, because from what he can tell after the few days that they've actually been here now, it doesn't seem that Runara has any place that she lives in or sleeps in. And he's like, what the hell? They haven't really met Varnoth yet, and they think about maybe going to talk to him and seeing if maybe he has any kind of like situation that he needs help with. And they also consider going back to Tarak to maybe get some information on where Runara stays. They are a little bit like, how can they do this without raising, attention to the fact that they're prying? So how can they get away with this? All right, my characters have decided that they're going to go see if they can find Varnoth to talk to them, 1, about the shipwreck, and also 2, maybe start getting some information about Runara, since she's not feeling them right now. So we're going to go ahead and test the expected scene with a D10. Our chaos factor is currently 4, so we have to roll over a 4. We got a 9. So that's correct. So now we're just going to decide, where is Varnoth? There's not many places left where Varnoth could be. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that they are in the library at this point in time, because that makes sense. I remembered to add ambiance because it helps. I also haven't been doing the immersion table by DM yourself because I forgot again. I'm not super interested in doing a lot of in-depth role play between the characters, because I don't find that as interesting, being the solo role player that I am. But I do see that we have a check here in the book, which is a DC 15 intelligence check, which we failed last time. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Somebody passed. Oh, they both passed. Okay, so we both got 15 plus 2. So both of my characters can now tell. A character who learns Varnoth's name, blah, blah, blah. So we already know Varnoth's name. So, and succeeds on a DC 15 intelligence history check, recalls hearing of General Varnoth Wender and the Azure Wolves, which was a mighty force in the East about a decade ago. A character with a soldier background succeeds on this check automatically. So this is something that they already knew once that the name was mentioned to them. So I'm going to retcon this just a second before having walked into the room, that we basically had conversated that we think that this might be General Varnoth Wender, and kind of gives us an inkling of how to talk to this person. We know that they're a military person. I'm a rogue and a cleric person, spellcaster sidekick. So as we walk into the library, we see that Varnoth is a human woman whose frame, once tightly muscled, has thinned with age. Her black hair is cropped closely to her scalp, and her light brown skin bears many scars, one of which runs across her left eye, which is milky and blind. An elegant prosthetic made from wood and metal replaces her right leg below the knee. And so this character, as an aside real quick, I actually made this with AI a while ago. I've stopped making AI characters. I either just find printables that are already made, or I've been doing my own. So here's her little prosthetic. You can kind of see it, that I did it. So this was, I think, either Mid-Journey or Doll E. I can't remember exactly. Here is a harpy, which I made. So I have my own style. I'm really lazy. So I just sometimes don't want to do it myself. I have been trying to use less AI assets over the last few weeks, because even though it's easier, there's a lot of things going on with AI, etc. Okay, how are we going to speak to this person? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce ourselves, be like, hello, hi. Varnoth would have heard of us by this point, because it's been over 24 hours since we first arrived, and we helped with the zombies, and then we went off on another quest. And honestly, we hope that the kobolds kind of got the information through. We let her know what happened. We let Varnoth know what happened with the myconids, and that we already spoke with Runara, and we basically just fill her in on everything. And we're looking to possibly help with the shipwreck, and we're looking to see if she has any more information. So we're basically I read the adventure to make sure that I'm not missing anything in Varnoth, and I tried not to spoil myself as best as I could. And honestly, there's not much to Varnoth's character, so I just have to decide here that Varnoth is going to tell us the same thing that the kobold that was with Runara said, that they saw the wreck. We already know, thankfully, because Runara was there and had a conversation about it while she was standing there, that she suggests we go to the Compass Rose specifically. And now we can we'll just say that we got the information where the boat is from Varnoth, and Varnoth also told us about the rowboat. And here in the adventure booklet, it says in the next area when I'm going to the wreck of the Compass Rose, it takes about 2.5 miles or almost 2 hours. So we're going to just go ahead and decide that we'll do that. So we have that information, but we're not ready to go yet because we do want to advance our own agenda here. I still want to role play. What is Rolo here for? That's something that I decided to do for my solo play. That is something that I would discover hopefully alongside of the adventure. So we're going to try, Rolo is going to try either deception or perception, maybe. Let's see. Rolo, you're not very charismatic, are you? No. Terrible. But you did up your deception. Is there anybody else here? I would say middle of the day, probably very unlikely. Also, I think we've seen everybody else. It would just be a kobold if anybody. So we're not going to roll on that. It's the middle of the day. We've already pretty much ascertained where everybody else is in the place. It would just be another kobold, as I mentioned. So no need to roll on that. So, the Temple of Bahamut, we enter it. The highest point of the cloister is crowned by an open-air temple that overhangs the cliff, supported by arched stone struts anchored to the cliff face. The north wall of the temple is carved directly into the rock, while the rest is open to the sea air. Heavy pillars mark 3 open sides, supported by the wooden roof. In the center of the temple stands a stone statue of a crane, and my little guy's missing, so I just have a crane now. A feeling of serenity suffuses the place. All right, so the first time I played this, I had this all set up with cardboard. I didn't have the mat that I'm drawing on, so while I do have some cardboard elements that I'm using, I'm also going to be just doing this because it's easier and I'm lazy. So I'm going to go ahead and say there's nobody up here and that we're just checking this area out. Go ahead. There is a DC Intelligent Religion check here that we can do, so we'll go ahead and do that. Let's see. Religion, +2 for Rolo, and +4 for Quippy, so we'll go ahead and roll 2 d20s. Alright, y'all. 15 and 3. Okay, we're going to say that Rolo just sucks today, but Quippy fills him in. Quippy fills him in. A character who examines the statue and succeeds on a DC 10 Intelligent for Religion check recognizes Bahamut, and any resident of Dragon Rest identifies the god of Ast. So this is just a god to Bahamut. I don't know why it's a crane. It is because that's what I had available. Just use your imagination. So Quippy's going to use her little magic knowledge and actually tell Rolo, hey, look, this is what they're worshiping here, basically. Known as the Platinum Dragon, Bahamut is the patron and progenitor of metallic dragons. Adventurers and dragons alike pray to Bahamut to uphold honor and justice, and when they need courage to face a great threat. He seldom interferes in the affairs of mortal creatures, though he makes exceptions to help thwart the machinations of Tiamat, the Dragon Queen, and evil dragons that serve her. And Rolo's like, thanks. While we are here, we're going to have a conversation, me and Quippy, while we're alone. We do an investigation of the area. There's nothing around, nothing to indicate. This is the last location at the top of the cloister, and there's no hidden passages, nothing that indicates that there's basically anything that they can do here. So it's a little confusing. Do I have a detect magic spell? I don't think I do. Quippy postulizes to Rolo. Is that a word? Postulizes? Quips to Rolo, hey, do you think maybe that there's like some magic here? Maybe they're just literally hiding her because she's important. And Rolo's like, well, god damn it, what makes this difficult, doesn't it? And Quippy's like, are you going to tell me what you need to steal? And Rolo's like, well, if I see it, I'll let you know. So they're pretty much stuck there. And Rolo's like, what do? I guess I just have to keep doing quests for them? This is like, he's really stumped. Like, typically he would just identify where the room is, find the item that he's trying to find, and deal with this. But obviously not working out for him. I'm trying to decide if there's any reason for us to not continue forward to the next structured location. I'm trying not to rush through the adventure, but like I also am trying to get the guys to guide me. So it's working out. I knew kind of the elements that I could tie together. I was also looking for interruptions to send me somewhere else, but it seems like we're probably just gonna be going to the next location. I'm gonna go ahead and just hand wave all the next part where we're gonna leave the next day. So it's another long rest. We didn't use anything this last time. We didn't level up. Nothing's happened, but we did gain 7 HP. So we're gonna do the end of scene basically. In Mythic, there's an end of scene bookkeeping that you do that technically I should have done for every single time that I was rolling for testing the expected scene, but I'm just kind of winging it. I'm using Mythic as a guide more than anything. So here, okay, get rid of this. Okay, so let me go over this real quick here. Mythic has a couple of different things. I'm using the prepared adventure information versus the traditional Mythic things. There's a whole section for prepared adventures. She even has a section to help you scale the adventure. But I found that DM Yourself by Tom Scott is pretty good for that. So that's why I decided to combine the two. All right, so let's see what happened this time. Adventures features list. So also we're going to be going to here. There's another thread, the shipwreck, right? That's where we're going next. Wrecks. The myconids blight. We kind of know that this might be Sharuth, but let's go ahead and make another one. So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna do shipwrecks here as well, and Sharuth. I don't have any new characters that I want to add because I didn't actually introduce any. Okay, I think that's fine. That's a fine for the end of scene bookkeeping there. And then we're gonna go ahead and so we're just gonna say that we're getting prepared to go the next day. So right now we still have a CF of 5. Go ahead and just do it. Next day here. Next day. These are just notes to help me see where I'm at. So we're going to go ahead and say that we've gotten the elixir. So we got 1 elixir, 7 health potions. We have some broken crystals that are worth gems, but I mean I just didn't really want to do a price economy. So I still have them. Maybe they're trade or something with somebody. Okay. Let's say we're going to go ahead and say it's 0800 in the morning again. We've already informed everyone that we're going to be doing this thing for them. We're going to go investigate the shipwreck. We've been told how to get there. I'm going to now roll once again on a CF5 to see if our preparations go well. So, everything go fine for what we're doing now? Let's see. 3, that is under, so no. That something happened. Finally got one. I was hoping to get one during the session. So now we're going to roll on the prepared adventure focus table, which when I get the book in the next few weeks, I'll show you guys that one. But basically, it's a little different than the event focus table that Mythic normally operates on. And I'm going to roll a D100. So let me get D100. Let's see what we get here. All right, that is a 92, which is the current context. All right, so I landed on current context. So basically, I said I was getting ready to go, so it's going to be, did my preparation this morning before I go out? I mean, did it go well? Am I okay? Did we do okay? So we're going to ask a fake question. Let's see why not. I'm going to say it's very likely that our preparations go well. I don't see why they wouldn't, but I just want to give it a little bit there. Our chaos factor is currently 5, so it's a pretty high chance that it goes okay. We're going to see. I need 75 for a yes. Oh, fucking hell, I got an 8. That is definitely, it went super well. Okay, so now I am basically here, very likely. I got an exceptional yes. It went super well. I don't want to give myself anything to bonus in the sense. Okay, I know what to do. I didn't want to give myself any more items or anything, but I'm going to interpret this as my preparations go so well that Runara comes to say goodbye to me, and she seems to be more pleased that we are actually following through. All right, that's a good interpretation. So we're gonna go ahead and go set up our scene. So we're gonna put ourselves on the beach again. So Runara comes to see us as we leave in the morning to go check out the ship of the Compass Rose, the shipwreck of the Compass Rose. And she comes up to Rolo just before he gets on the boat, and she's like, hey, so I hear that you're curious about my quarters or where I stay. And Rolo's just like, oh, because he got busted like so quickly. And he just points up back at the cliff above him, and he's just like, it's so clear it's that you just don't exist here, and it stands out. And it just seems like a really clever way to protect the leadership. And Runara's like, it is a very clever way. She's like, if you come back successfully from the Compass Rose, I will tell you where I stay. And your curiosity may be appeased. And Rolo's like, oh, well, thank you. And he just takes it lightheartedly. He's like, well, thank you for being patient with us. It's interesting when you notice things like that. And Quippy is like, he's just really got, this big old nose he's got to stick everything into. And then Rolo's just like, shut up, because he's above her. And Runara just laughs and says, good luck on your journey. And remember that the shipwreck is probably filled with creatures. So beware. All right. So we're going to go ahead and say that the chaos factor went down again because we had control of the situation. It went well for us. We're at a CF 4. Testing the expected scene. CF 4. We're at a 2. Okay, so we're going to roll on the prepared adventure focus table again. So let's see what we get here. D100. What is that? That is a 25. All right, 25. That is an NPC action. I'm not really sure how to interpret that, so I'm going to pause it real quick to read the manual. So basically, we are going to roll on our character list, and I went ahead and added Sharuf, the god, to it, just because if it comes up, I have an idea if I roll on it. So we're going to roll on the character list because we have an NPC action as the interruption before we continue with the adventure. So that's going to be a D10. Right here, D10. I got a 5. That would be Tarak. Okay, Tarak is I'm going to do something before we leave. What is he going to do? Let's roll on the tables, actually. All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at what action we can do here from Mythic's meaning list here. I'm going to go ahead and roll on that table. All right, Tarak, we got a 94. Travel. Okay, obviously we are traveling. Does Tarak want to come with us for some reason, maybe? Couldn't see why. Maybe. All right, let's roll again and see if anything gets inspiration on that. 97. 97 is trust, travel and trust. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and interpret this to mean that Tarak tells us of something secret, probably some kind of plant that is available on this ship. And he's going to tell me it's something that he can also make, that if we get him this special plant, he will get us some more potions. Because I have decided that we're not going to be able to buy potions. So this is what's going to do it. So we're going to build his trust and he's going to ask us on our travels to collect something from him. So when we were at the shipwreck, he's going to ask us to look for, I think it should be dangerous, so it should be something probably in the hold that's under the water, because I was wondering why my characters would possibly go into the hold, so I'm going to give him a reason now. Tarak wants some special seaweed that is growing in the hold, probably. He hasn't been out there in a while, and he describes it to us. All right, you got it, Tarak. I'm going to go ahead and hand wave that versus roleplay it all out, but we have a new quest, so we're going to go ahead and add it to our list. So that is a thread list. We're going to get some seaweed here. And we're going to go ahead and add it to our other list as well, which is our adventure feature list. Okay, so otherwise it looks like we're going to go off. And we're going to say now it takes about 2 hours to get there. So it's going to be roughly probably 11 in the morning when we arrive at the Compass Rose. Waves lap against the derelict ship lodged against a ridge of rocks and enormous dragon bones. A faint odor of rot wafts through the sea air, along with the sound of screeching seagulls and the roar of the surf. A tangled mess of tattered sails and rigging hangs off the starboard side of the main deck, offering one possible way to climb aboard. At the stern, you can make out a gaping hole in the hull beneath the waterline. All right, so here we are at the shipwreck of the Compass Rose. The rigging. I'm going to go ahead and call my session here, and because I think the next part's going to take a bit longer, and I'm running out of time today, but I did want to show you guys that I have a little setup like this and like this for the next little map, and I'm quite proud of it. Quite proud of my little setup, so we'll get to see that next time. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to go over some of the tools and such here at the end. So I'm using Mythic Game Master Emulator. I have the PDF currently on my laptop here next to me, and I've also printed out the fate chart. I went ahead and purchased the physical copy, and I'm waiting for that to arrive. And I actually accidentally purchased 2 physical copies, so I don't know, maybe I'll do a giveaway at some point. But I'm using Mythic Game Master Emulator and DM Yourself by Tom Scott. I'm not really using DM Yourself as a strict guideline, more as a suggestion. I am taking multiple things from there, like 75% of monsters' health, increasing levels, taking a sidekick, and other things that it recommends to do. I'm using both systems, both Mythic and DM Yourself, kind of as a guideline. I have started to lean into more using Mythic, especially as I mentioned, I'm doing a Planescape walkthrough, which actually, here, I'll go ahead and show you guys, since I have Obsidian up. I'm doing a Planescape walkthrough here, where I'm doing everything on the computer. And I have some player-made maps, I have a lot of link backs, and then I have like basically a journal set up. And those are what my battle maps look like. So I'm doing a lot of that right now. I'm also doing a playthrough of Iron Valley, which is an Ironsworn basically knockoff, where kind of in the same manner where I'm using physical components like this, except it's gonna be more of like paper play. So here, I've only had the time to do one playthrough of this, but this is how I'm gonna basically be doing it. I'm also using Mythic and also Iron Valley rule set for that. So there's a lot of different ways that I'm playing games right now. Just wanted to kind of touch base. That's why you haven't seen me do one of these, and that's why you haven't seen me playing this in a while. But I have my next scene set up. I'm very proud of this that I made. I did a really good job, I think. It's all cardboard. It's very on purpose that I'm using cardboard. I'm trying to stay away from plastic and other things, unless I can reuse plastic. Reusing stuff, and I got glue. I feel like I've gotten a little bit more comfortable playing Dungeons and Dragons by myself. I do like it. I like kind of like how crunchy it ends up being, especially now that it's not so hard for me to follow along. At the beginning, it's like spending a lot of time looking for things, which is why it's been beneficial with playing with Obsidian, because I've been able to link back very easy to rules and things for myself, so it made my learning process for D&D much faster, so I don't have to look up stuff as much. I am very proud of my little miniature setup here for the next map. I think it's very cute. The biggest thing for me making these miniatures is it needs to be easy to store. I don't really have a ton of places to put this stuff, so that's why you're seeing me build things that are very flat and things I can pull apart. I'm hoping that eventually I can just have a couple of battle maps that I can kind of reorganize and reuse. Like this will be my main ship one from now on. I don't need a ton of ships, right? Overall, I'm enjoying the process of playing Dungeons and Dragons by myself. I like how kind of crunchy it is with all the casting rules and such. I found I'm not really into playing out a lot of deep conversations just because since I'm the person playing all of it, it feels a little weird to talk back and forth to myself. But there are instances, especially when the dice, like, you know, I get a 1, like what happened in this playthrough, and that kind of like dictates what happens. So that's fun, and why rolling dice is part of the process and makes this more of a game than versus a, you know, a narrative process in your head, you know, basically daydreaming with rules. Please feel free to comment anything that you like or want to see. Better of a schedule and play and put out an episode at least once a week. Obviously, I'd like to finish this sometime this year and honestly move on to other games because this is fun, but I already want to do other things. All right, thank you guys so much. See you next time.